We want to know. We have a question.
What is it? Very important question. And you don't need to feel shy about it.
No, you really...
It's natural.
It's natural. Is there anybody around? No?
It's natural for a girl at your age.
Shane Dawson and Lisa Schwartz, aka Lizbug, were one of the most lovable YouTube couples back in 2014. The two started seeing each other in 2011, and soon they started making videos together where she would wax Shane's back, where the two would do the chapstick challenge. It was totally so adorable.
I sat down with Lisa and I told her that I was very sexually confused and it was the hardest thing I've ever done. And it was very sad because I didn't want her to think that I was gay and that I was hiding it from her and that I was using her as like a beard, because that's what the whole internet probably thinks.
Quadir said Teresa is a user too. He said Teresa showed him Shane's budget book because she was upset that Shane was taking Lisa on vacations and first-class flights. Teresa allegedly said she felt like Lisa was using Shane. Quadir called out Teresa and said she lived in Shane's big house, watching reality TV series and didn't pay any bills. Quadir said Lisa deserved the first-class flights because Shane was allegedly using her.
And he don't even like her, so you may as well let her get a flight out of this if she's gonna be his beard. So, first-class flights seem like a small price to pay for that is sleeping with a gay man.
But I also don't want to label myself and just now, from now on, everybody's like, oh, Shane, the bisexual guy. Or like, I don't want to make a movie where I have a love interest who's a girl and then have all the people be like, oh, I don't believe it because he's bisexual.
I don't know. Well, maybe we could do the ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend candy eating challenge crotch, like we did that one time.
Yeah, if you guys want to see that, let us
Give it a thumbs up! We'll do anything for money.
God, I regret everything. Like literally the last 4 years of my life.
Yeah. So we want to talk to you. We want to explain what sex is to you. We did get really quiet.
Ah. And then you're so happy when you're an adult. I can't believe I'm endorsing this. Look what you've turned me into.
Sympathy is an analytical tool. Understanding people doesn't mean you make excuses for them. And using sympathy to understand others may just be the first step on the way to refuting mistakes they've made, drawing their attention to just how bad and evil and wrong some of the decisions they've made really are. When I encourage people in my audience to have sympathy for the devil, it's not because I want you to actually make excuses for people like Shane Dawson. And believe me, when you start to get out there in the world, there are people far, far worse than Shane Dawson. I had an employer back when I lived and worked in Thailand. He was a white Western male who had lived in Thailand for many, many years. And he really enjoyed telling people his philosophical excuses as for why he felt there was nothing ethically wrong with much, much older men having sex with teenage prostitutes. Something that is ubiquitous in Thailand, whether it is legal, illegal, or barely legal. And I think before he met me, he'd kind of played this game, this parlor trick. He'd had this little debate so many times that he thought he was already prepared for every possible comeback, every possible answer, whether it be shocked or sympathetic. But he was not prepared at all for what I said to him. I let him say his piece. I let him set out his little justification for why he felt, from his perspective, there was nothing wrong with this. And I note his argument was that it ought to be legal whenever the girl had completed puberty, meaning whenever she had a regular menstrual cycle, which, could be 16, but could be 13 or something. It happens at all different ages. Ridiculous. That was his ethical, philosophical position. And what I said to him was this: what about you? What about when you were a teenage boy? Do you think that you could apply this same philosophy to yourself? Do you think that you could live with it if you had started turning tricks? I'm a heterosexual male talking to another dude I know to be heterosexual, and I'm saying to him, how do you think you would have coped for the rest of your life if you started being sexually exploited this way by older men when you were a teenager? And he crumbled. He didn't have a goddamn thing to say. As I've already disclosed, I happen to be a heterosexual male. And I'd like to take a moment to reach out to the other heterosexual males in the audience and ask them just to think through a few steps of this hypothetical exercise. We've gotten very comfortable with this slang term, living in the closet. And we have other cute terms like wearing a beard, all these little pieces of jargon that make us feel comfortable with something that's actually profoundly psychologically disturbing. I'm a heterosexual male, okay? But I have enough imagination, I have enough sympathy to really think through how profoundly disturbing it is for homosexuals to live a life that is fake straight. And when you look at Shane Dawson, when you look at these grotesque, over-the-top performances he put on for years pretending to be straight, and in my opinion, I think he's still pretending to be a whole lot of things that he isn't. I think he's still wearing a beard, to use these terms. I invite you to think sympathetically. If you're a heterosexual man, how much would it mess you up? What would be the long-term consequences for you if you as a straight man lived in an apartment with a gay lover? If you had to go through the act of having gay sex once a week or twice a week, if you had to go through the act of pretending to be gay, not just in your personal life, not just in front of your family, but here on YouTube, on social media, if your career required you to bend your sexual orientation the other way, and think of the long-term consequences. I'm not making any excuses for Shane Dawson whatsoever. But when I look at his career, when I look at all the aberrant behavior, all the crises he's created for himself and the crises he's still dealing with, I see the root cause of the problem as being the unbelievable stress and psychological damage done by being fake straight when deep down inside, really